have Sean Markham with me, and we have the pleasure to speak with one of my favorite marketers, Melanie Kennedy from Strategic Media. How are you, Melanie?
Good, thank you.
So lots going on. You've got some great campaigns, some great clients. They all seem to love you. I don't know. What's your secret?
I love working with people. I love clients, and I love media partners. And I think my secret is just treating everybody with respect and good relationships.
What's nice is that you have a really good case study that shows a lot of thoughtfulness about targeting and approach. And it would be great to talk with you today about some of the things you did, some of the lessons you learned, maybe opportunities for future growth and that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
So do you want to give a little bit of a highlight of the case study and maybe your background, maybe background of the case itself?
Absolutely. So the case study is one of our cloud security clients at Strategic Media. It was a collaboration between myself and our team at Strategic Media, so I don't take full credit. Basically, this client was really trying to drive growth between their enterprise and what they call their growth accounts, targeting ABM, also using an intent layer and some high impact brand awareness tactics that were designed to drive both brand awareness as well as primarily lead gen pipeline and MQL volume.
Great. And so what was your approach, or how did things go? So you the targeting, it sounds like, is an ABM list. Intent is layered on top, I guess. So you're taking ABM target accounts that have intent, have shown some signals of intent in the recent past, and that was your target audience to reach out to. Primarily,
yes. Also going a little bit broader within cloud security, business and technical decision makers, even going a little bit outside of cloud security within general technology influencers.
So yeah, ABM lists of the companies, and then target titles, both technical and non-technical, inside of the companies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sean.
And how do you, I know you have an extreme amount of experience, and that's something that, when we've connected in the past has always really impressed me, is this extreme depth of understanding. How do you gain that? How do you know not just the client, but their customers, so that you can give them, the best advice possible?
It's a good question. So when we try to learn about our clients' customers, we use a combination of information gathering from the clients, third-party research, and also just going through a deep pre-planning session with the client to uncover their target personas. A lot of our B2B clients provide us with information that they've already uncovered through their own research about their ideal customer profile. They also have done various analysis, and in some cases, they haven't, or they don't have that information. So we'll ask questions that'll help trigger some of those key data points. Things like what are the key target accounts that we can use, not only to go after specifically, but also to build lookalike accounts that are similar to the ideal customer accounts. We look at a target geography, industry selects, company size, and where possible, if we can get any type of behavioral data. In terms of behavioral data, we also advise our clients to rely on solutions that are AI-based, such as companies like Demandbase or Sixth Sense, or other primary industry partners that will allow the clients to follow their online prospects in market against a specific set of keyword terms. So understanding where the accounts are surging and what they're surging on while they're online, and then going after those accounts that are driving more activity.
Gotcha. And so when you're thinking about how, when you're conceptualizing the account or the campaign itself, how, and this probably seems like magic to a lot of people who are sort of not familiar with you, but you seem to be able to do it. How do you merge that deep insight that you just gained with a creative placement campaign that, that seems like a perfect fit? Like, do you have a process? Is it just sort of like magic Melanie pulling amazing campaigns, or is it, is there some kind of like, process that you go through?
We look at, and I say we because it's not just me, it's me and my team, although I appreciate the kudos. We look at a combination of past campaign experience, whether we've seen success or failure for clients in similar categories. We do tend to work with a lot of different clients in specific categories, such as cloud security, cybersecurity. All areas of security is a kind of a big area for us. And so on top of looking at past campaign experience, we also brainstorm internally and with our clients as well to see what they've tested. And probably most importantly, we learned a lot from our media partners. Our media partners have already done a variety of tests within their own environments. And they know what the new technologies might be and what their offerings are that might align with our clients' objectives. So we learn a lot from our partners, our clients, and also past campaigns.
And, obviously, as I understand it, you're mostly placing the client's advertisements. Do you do any pre-testing before you launch? Because obviously it's a high stakes campaign and your success depends on how well their ads perform. And if their ads are not very good, it can impact the campaign. Do you do any pre-testing, or do you?
Yeah, to a certain extent, when we talk about pre-testing, it really, to me, that's more in the B2C space, which is fine because I've done a lot of that in my career. Coming from a packaged goods background. Typically, our B2B clients haven't gotten too involved in pre-testing. They tend to, the larger clients tend to do some of that, however, using things like focus groups or online surveys. And also social media is a really good channel or venue for testing messaging, and learning a little bit about which audience segments are responding to specific messages. So we find running campaigns on LinkedIn and other paid social channels is a really good indicator of what's going to resonate as in the broader media channels. We also we're going to be running a brand and ad effectiveness study for a client, and we've done this a lot in the past in terms of testing ad and brand awareness. These days, companies like Kantar, which we use as third-party technology research, tend to do less pre and post testing and more testing during the flight. So in-market testing using panel-based studies. In the past, it was more of a traditional model where we would do a pre and post. I did one for Cisco years ago where we did a pre-awareness study, and then we ran the campaign, did a study during the flight, and then a post. And that is just not as done as often because a lot of clients want to have that performance data during the flight and be able to optimize accordingly.
So they feel confident that they know ahead of time what's going to work, and then they're just looking to sort of refine it as they go through.
Yeah, to a certain extent. They also work with their creative teams to do research in terms of what types of messaging is going to perform against their audiences.
And regarding the submission you made for the award, maybe talk through that, because that was such an interesting campaign. I would love to hear just sort of like the gritty details of
Pretty
how
detailed.
you did that, and then the awesome results that it created.
Sure. Our team worked on this cybersecurity campaign in the latter half of 2021. So I think the campaign ran about 4 months and is actually continuing into Q1 and Q2. The budgets have actually doubled. And we're expanding efforts across channels. So this campaign, as I talked about earlier, was really focusing on primarily demand gen and a layer of brand awareness. The challenge that we had was that the client hadn't done a lot of advertising, and some of it was sort of spotty and not really holistic from a strategic perspective. So we wanted to bring the channels together to drive demand at the bottom of the funnel and also build a layer of awareness to augment what they were doing in-house with channels like social media. So what we focused on, oh, sorry, I forgot. One other thing they wanted to do was to heavy up in certain parts of the US. So this was a complete US based approach, our plan, that had 70% demand generation and 30% brand awareness. And I think in terms of the nitty gritty details that you want to know, I'll just try to highlight a few things. So we looked at, we utilized both content syndication as well as display programmatically, targeting this client's top growth and enterprise accounts. We also added a layer of intent-based targeting through the media partners, and a lot of them use their own proprietary technologies, some of it focusing on AI, and some of it focusing on more traditional intent and behavioral measures. The topics that were used were related to cloud security and also pulled from the client's paid search programs in terms of top performing areas that we wanted to focus on. So we also added additional filters to our content syndication buy to ensure we were getting the right audience mix in the leads that we generated, including title and seniority lead filters. The other piece that we did, which I thought was pretty key to the success of this program, was a two-touch model. So any leads that we sent through to the client had to have downloaded or engaged with 2 content assets. We had a variety of assets, both top of funnel, such as a Gartner report, which positioned the client in very positive way, and also some mid and lower funnel content, including a demo. These assets were promoted both in display as well as through content syndication or email promotions. We capped the leads per account at 7 so that we didn't oversaturate any specific account. And from a awareness perspective, we worked with sites like TechCrunch and DZone, which was targeting their sub-vertical of developers, and also Forbes to do some really unique, to run some really unique display and high impact programs. Some of the programs focused on key homepage roadblocks and takeovers, some native contextual ads, some paid social, as well as a custom curated article sponsorship program with one of the business partners. So we had a nice balanced mix of media and creative. And overall, the program was successful. We got some really nice kudos from the client, indicating that this was one of the most successful programs they had ever run. and drove more MQLs in a shorter period of time. MQLs, i.e. marketing qualified leads, in a shorter period of time than any channel they used throughout 2021. And also from a metrics perspective, an average of 43% of their leads that they receive from this program receive the highest lead score, which is something I haven't seen that much in my 30 years of media.
Melanie, I was going to ask you about that. What are they? What is the components of the lead score? How do they measure the lead quality, if you will?
It's a variety of factors. They look at things like behavioral personas. They have their own research that they can align with some of the data. They also look at titles. I mean, basically, the specifics of the lead contact, what's their title, what's their industry, are they interacting in terms of the follow-up marketing nurture that they're doing. So sometimes, most of our clients receive leads and those don't immediately go to MQL stage. We hope they don't, because they do need to get a nurture. They are top of funnel, true top of funnel engagements. So in this case, getting some initial nurture and getting some positive performance. And then, things like no bounces, but we use a platform called Tech Connector, which helps helps our success rate in terms of lead validation and reaching the right audience according to our parameters.
Bob, do you know anything about Tech Connector? I feel like maybe that requires a little bit more detail, because maybe not everyone's familiar with that.
Sounds like a great company to me. Yeah. So Tech Connector, is very happy to be partnering with Melanie on this campaign and some others. And it's a really nice relationship, because, as Melanie says, that the way she treats her partners and her vendors is it's really commendable. And it's one of those golden rules, I think, where treat others how you want to be treated, and it's really fun to be part of it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, Melanie, so I'm interested in knowing a little bit more about the, about the, I call it air cover, but how the display and branding helps with the content, content syndication. You're not able to have the display or social go direct, or you can't make social. You can hit people directly, specific people, or both of those on the domain or company level.
Yeah, we can run paid social against an account list. Yes, we often
on the account list, but not to specific people.
No, we can run not to specific people. Well, we do have a target audience that is specifically targeting people as well as accounts. It's really two ways of targeting.
On the display and the social.
Correct. Yes.
So
the display is a little more. Sorry, the display
Right.
is a little bit more limited in terms of job titles and company size, but we find that a lot of display programmatic, for instance, from a B2B perspective, it's more relevant when it's targeting actual online behaviors and intent and surging against specific topics. Although we do layer on title, more generic titles, data segments, for instance, from companies like Experian, Dun & Bradstreet, and so on and so forth, depending on the programmatic partner that we're using. Or Bombora, for instance, that's another big one that we use a lot.
And some of the media partners you have, some of them are publishers and some of them are aggregators.
Correct.
And the publishers is where you're doing the display. So they're running both display and content syndication for you.
Aggregators as well.
As well.
Yes, definitely. And a lot of times we like to sync the efforts. So a nice thing about an aggregator from a programmatic ABM display perspective is that we can piggyback on the content syndication efforts either way. So we could kick off with a content syndication buy and identify which accounts are engaging with the client's content, and then remarket using display ads to those accounts with a later stage offer or a demo or something that's going to drive them further down the funnel. So it's another way of doing a two-touch. And in the reverse, we can start with a display ad at the top of the funnel and retarget with content syndication promotions at the account level. We can't do that at user level because of user privacy and controls and GDPR and so on.
So with everybody working from home these days, is that affecting the performance of the display and the targeting?
Not at all. I've ran a virtual company since 2004, and I've also worked in-house at companies such as Clorox, Cisco, Yahoo, and I found that virtual companies or people working at home, for instance, with or without the pandemic, has actually been quite productive.
Interesting.
Especially, given the fact that people do want to have a little bit more time with their families. And I really, truly am a proponent of work-life balance, even though I love to work.
Yeah, and absolutely, it makes a lot of sense. And people are more available digitally now because they're not getting out as much, I guess. So they're online more, I assume, which is good and bad.
Exactly. Although I'm a cyclist, and the bicycle industry has grown. I have a friend who runs giant bicycles, and the bicycle industry has grown in leaps and bounds since the pandemic hit.
That's really good.
It's
so people
great.
are taking advantage of it and getting more healthy, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. Enjoying life, enjoying nature, enjoying their families. I will never, ever say that the pandemic has driven good things. It's horrible, absolutely horrible for so many reasons. But that is the one thing I can say that I think has helped the human, the individual.
Yeah.
I would love to hear about your vision for the future and you've done so much. You keep creating these really impactful campaigns. What do you, and you alluded to leveraging artificial intelligence as a tool. I would love to hear your take on where you think the future is going to bring the work that you do in B2B placement.
Sure. I think, from a technology standpoint, not just B2B, but across B2B and B2C, I think we're going to continue to see mediums converge as we have, over time. I think sometime in the near or probably far future, my expectation is that media buyers will start to secure ad impressions that are truly multi-platform from a holistic user experience. And specifically from a demand gen experience, I think B2B marketers are going to look less at buying top of funnel leads and more at buying user experiences. I see website personalization currently delivering experiences at the user level based on preference, based on online preference and online behaviors. And I feel as if our B2B marketers are going to be less looking at buying leads, but more buying an experience. And I also think that we're going to see more linking of, ideally, more linking of paid and earned media, not just from an attribution perspective, but also just from a media buying perspective, so that as we buy paid media, we can understand more holistically and while in market, how these channels work together to drive the client's business. And lastly, I think just aligning with these efforts with the user journey is continuing to be very individualized. We traditionally think that display is at the top of the funnel, and what's an example, like a trade show or a direct connection or a webinar is at the bottom of the funnel, but that varies by individual. And I definitely think that the more we can align our efforts to the individual user experience, the better our campaigns are gonna perform over time.
So did I hear you say that it would be more of an interactive thing, or maybe more of a custom experience for a person? So if Sean and I interacted with the client, we may have different experiences based on our interests or our behavior.
exactly. Yeah. So you could be on a different journey than Sean. And the media that we're putting in market ideally will align with your specific journey, and we'll look to driving as little waste as possible. So we don't send Bob a message that is not hitting him at the right time or with the right content or creative. Companies like Follows, I've seen Follows, Folloze, does a great job, do a great job of serving creative and experiences on from a website perspective, according to what someone is doing on that specific client site. So those are the types of technologies I'd really like to see clients engage in, both from an ABM perspective and also just even in terms of the B2C world.
Very cool. Very cool.
So Melanie, do you, I don't know for this client, but do you have any clients that give you lead specific feedback of how the leads have progressed since the lead was delivered? So in other words, my dream is to be able to know which leads became sales accepted leads or sales qualified leads or sales opportunities, and then go back and figure out, you know, which channels, which vendors, which efforts, which content was effective for those specific leads.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we usually get reports. Most clients give us reports of how the campaigns are performing in Salesforce. And we take those reports and we do pivot analyses, and we identify which are the top channels, partners, account segmentation lists, and tactics. We generally don't get down to the tactic from a Salesforce perspective, other than that it's content syndication or display or what have you. But in terms of Google Analytics, we can look more specifically at tactics with our UTM codes and what those are doing, what those clicks are doing on the client's website.
Nice. So, and then the other thing is, so having more specific content. So have you experimented with different content for different audiences, either again, based on behavior or based on demographics, and then maybe, or, you know, geography, maybe like for international, do that audience, do they respond better to different content, and how do you know?
Yeah, absolutely. From audience perspective, putting the geo question aside for a moment, from an audience perspective, we've done a lot of programs for B2B clients where we will have two separate tracks of targets and tactics against those targets. So for instance, running separate set of content assets and display ads among the business decision makers versus the technical decision makers, or looking even at specific areas within a target's title selects. And then those would be aligned not only with content and creative, but also with keywords that are specific to the buyer intent and user journey, and also aligned with the placements. So we might look at different ad placements for top of for the different.
So if you know certain people, they tie to certain intent signals, certain topics, they would get a different content or different, maybe even different medium to reach out to them than others.
Right. Right. And we would optimize as we go. We could potentially swap them because, again, each user journey is a little bit different.
Nice.
And we don't like to put labels on a CIO separate from IT manager. A lot of companies, the IT manager is also doing C-level work and vice versa, and wearing many hats. The geo question is another really good one, Bob, and I like that because to us, we do a lot of global campaigns. We're doing programs specifically in APAC, EMEA, as well as obviously North America. So within the different regions, we go down to the country level and the language level, and we specifically like to recommend that clients speak in the language that is used most heavily in that specific region or country.
So you'll
And-
go native language on both the content and the outreach, whether it's email or telemarketing.
Yes, where possible. I mean, we really like to rely on the client's translation. I don't trust when the media partners translate assets or landing page copy. I'd like it to come from the regional teams at the client side.
That makes sense.
And then in terms of specific language, like it's even as granular as British English versus American English. We like to, keep that because people appreciate that.
I agree. It's funny because I've reviewed some campaigns for Australia or UK, and I'm picking out the organization spelled with an S rather than a Z, and it's like, well, wait a second, that's good. That's good for that audience, and so yeah, it's well taken.
Exactly.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I think the best testament is that you got a renewal and the volume's going up. So that's the best feedback that it's working, and congratulations on that. I think that's it's very exciting. And a lot of clients don't give feedback down to the lead level. Sometimes they'll just say overall it's good or whatever. And that's okay, but it's hard to make it better without more specific. So it's really good that you have clients that are able to get you more specific feedback. It's really useful. It helps you help them. Which is great.
Exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't say all clients, but I would say probably 2/3 of our clients
Yay.
are doing that. So we're pretty.
I think that's rare overall. I think that's a testament of your relationship with them.
Thank you.
I think most clients, for whatever reason, they don't provide it. I think maybe they think that it's giving you a reason to think that you're underpricing them or something, but whatever. I don't know exactly, but they would definitely benefit better by sharing it, I would think.
Yeah, I agree.
Good. Sean, any other questions or thoughts?
No, I'm just very, very grateful to be able to chat with you, and every time we've talked, I've just walked away with a substantially bigger brain, so I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate the time that you guys have put to talking with me, and I respect you both. And I love some of the stuff that you're doing, Sean, and in your work, and super excited to hear more about that as well.
Thank you.
So Melanie, where's your bike ride going to be this weekend?
This weekend I'll probably stay close to home just because I've got other things I need to get done, including some media planning. But
Get a life, come on.
It just depends. I mean, we do a lot. We're in the Bay Area, so we have a lot of really nice roads around here.
And you don't mind hills?
Well, it depends on how I feel that day, because that changes the ride 100%, whether you're doing steep hills or just doing longer distance. But yeah,
well,
every day is different in terms of the energy level.
Great. Well, enjoy. Melanie, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to learn from you and to speak with you and work with you, and keep up the good work. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. And I just want to shout out to my team at Strategic Media, I could not do anything without them. They are absolutely amazing. So, yay.
All right. Well, thank you both. Have a nice one.
Okay. You too. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.